Looks like it's going to be a clear day here in southern Colorado. Now, there's actually a reason why the skies here are more clear than other skies. And there is a lot of drone testing in this region. And not only in the San Luis Valley, but the area around Trinidad, Colorado, and elsewhere. And some of the drones are hardcore drones. They're weaponized drones, as talked about in my last video. So there's a reason why we see the effects of geoengineering on a far smaller scale. We see them, but not as much. By the way, it is the 22nd of May in the year 2015. And so last night, for the first time, I discovered this Pinon Canyon, which is within an hour of where I am now. And that is the destination of the Fort Carson troops that are going to be deploying between the 26th and the 30th of May in the year 2015. They're going to be taking 650 armored vehicles, and at least 300 of them are Stryker armored vehicles. Take a look at what those look like on Google Images. You're looking at a hardcore modern tank vehicle. Looks very much like some of the SWAT tanks that some of the police departments have been receiving in recent years. And so there's a lot of people wondering whether this is for Jade Helm 15, with this massive drill taking place right before Jade Helm 15 is scheduled to begin. It's just north of many of the states where Jade Helm is taking place. But even if this is just a practice drill for, say, invading Iran, that's creepy in and of itself because of the consequences of that. So Pinon Canyon, for those that don't know, is a place east of Trinidad, and I believe Highway 350 leads up to it. You can find it on Google Maps. They have a artificial Iraqi city. They have a video of Iraqis and others living on site that are helping the Americans, the American military, get better at what it is that they do. And so you have a large number, I found, of ranchers and local residents in that area that don't want to sell their land to the army, to the military, to the government. Because this has actually been an ongoing issue that I never heard about until now. I mean, I've heard of issues where there's plans for the government to expand their training range, where they expand their and they practice the use of weapons, conventional and unconventional, in areas where there's less people. They do it off the coast of Oregon, and as a result, many marine life has been eliminated from the planet. Dolphins and whatnot. A lot of that is the result of the Navy testing their sonar and other things. But there are other things that take place on land. And that includes the use of drones, weaponized drones, and things exploding, and also the use of uranium. So you deal with environmental contamination. So ranchers are pissed. And there are ranchers that haven't sold out in this area, in that area closer to the training range. And this Pinon Canyon Manuever site has been attempting to expand. It's already 235,000 acres. And they're trying to expand and absorb the land of the ranchers around them so they can do more and more and more things there. They say it's about cost, so they don't have to, send their troops to California or to Fort Bragg or to other places. So they're going to be doing more of these urban warrior and other related terms that you can use for this, more of these exercises and drills in this part of Colorado. And there appears to be no end in sight. Surrounding areas, Alamosa County, they're set to see more drones over their skies. They've had drones, fighter jets, and helicopters, Apaches, for years training over the Alpine Valley out there. And I understand some people are for what the military is doing when it comes to these wars, and some people like to see Marines training in their backyard. But I'll tell you what, I bet there are people, these ranchers, some of them voted Republican or Democrat, and probably some of them don't have any problem with what the government's doing. But you know what? They do have a problem when the government is coming up in their grill. They do have a problem when the government is exploding things outside their house. They do have a problem when the government is contaminating their land and basically threatening their livelihood. And that's what I saw last night by looking up this issue on YouTube. The ranchers out here in southeast Colorado are pissed off. that the government is threatening their livelihood with these exercises and with the government's attempt to acquire more land. So I want to make sure you're aware of that. Pinon Canyon, that is the site of these, the destination of these Fort Carson troops. It's a sister site to Fort Carson. And as I mentioned in a recent video, Fort Carson hosted Russian Special Forces troops in 2012, and some have reported 2013, where they have U.S. troops and Russian troops working together in the state of Colorado. It almost sounds like disinformation, fake news that you would read off of a fake disinfo site. But it's not. I've checked it out. They did a lot of training with Russian troops here in Colorado. So, how might Pinon Canyon be connected? And one more thing that I do want to mention. Dave Hodges of the Common Sense Show said that Trinidad, close by, is a FEMA location, or is known to be a FEMA city. And upon doing some digging, there's some rumors that they were remodeling the World War II detention center that is located here. And there is no evidence, according to people that came out here looking for the FEMA camp, that there is a FEMA camp here in Trinidad that is currently being manned and currently in a state of being able to be populated, if you will. But could Pinon County or Canyon or other related sites that they may acquire be turned into internment facilities? See, I'm interested in the truth of what's actually going on, and I'm certainly not interested in being scared of my own shadow. And on a final note, you know, some of you know my forecast for the future, that I do believe that there is a staged World War III scenario coming to where the whole thing is controlled, and the leaders of these corrupt nations are in on it. I think that Colorado and certain areas are going to be safer to be in than cities on the West Coast and East Coast. I truly do believe that, even if there is military activity here. And I know that we've been programmed, and maybe for good reason, to be cautious of being near Marines and being near military bases. But I've thought this through long before I came back to Colorado. I'm aware of the heavy military presence. I'm aware of the deep underground bases. But I'm also somewhat in love with the off-the-grid options in the San Luis Valley, being able to get away from it all. And, you know, for 9 months I did live off the grid, and there were some aircraft that flew over and perhaps, you know, test spy planes and other things. But honestly, I didn't really feel bothered by it. I really honestly felt bothered by feeling stuck in Portland and feeling stuck in this zombie apocalypse. I enjoy nature, and so in my mind, it's a trade-off, it's a compromise. You know, you see a little bit more military activity, but you're also away from the zombie apocalypse epicenter or ground zero. And it really hurts sometimes to be around people that are so adversely affected by the system that they become hateful little creatures. Life in the city has become a reality of being around a lot of people like that have basically been broken, had their spirits broken. So for me, looking at it from my perspective, whether I'm right or wrong, and I don't have a crystal ball, I believe they're going to stage World War III. That's going to result in a lot of these cities on the West and East Coast being attacked. And the U.S. is going to allow it to happen, just like they're allowing China to develop their one world order reserve currency, just like the United States and Federal Reserve is doing everything to kill the dollar deliberately and send ally nations over to the AIIB and the BRICS. So looking at this from the perspective this is being staged, I see the shadow government, the New World Order in a way. Yes, they have headquarters in Colorado, but I don't believe that they're planning to blow up Colorado. I do think they are staging other events, but I feel like where I am right now is a place where we are likely at some point, whether it's coming in the near future or years down the line, a massive deployment of troops out of this region into a war situation, perhaps war with China, war with Russia. Right now, they're declaring war on ISIS globally and making up profound lies, saying that women of America are joining ISIS, and yet there are borderline dumbed down, retarded Americans that are watching the mainstream media that are actually believing what they're being told by the big bank media. They're believing what they're being told by the big bank media about the big bad ISIS without even realizing the big threats that are coming, either from our own government or from the larger super states that are now declaring the United States to be their enemy, that are now declaring the United States to be a threat, countries like China and Russia, which are on the same side. So what will be going down here in Colorado, in the middle of America, when all this is hitting the fan? I think it's going to be very, very interesting. And I've been looking at this, this potential for this scenario for a long time, and looking at martial law drills in America for a long time, at least since 2005. And despite the things happening now with this drill, this radar focus, despite the heavy military activity taking place right now, I still feel more secure here in Colorado and here in the general Southwest than living in a major U.S. city that can go through lockdown. And that would be a bad situation, where you're stuck in a situation with a lot of people at once, without food, without water, that don't give a damn about each other. At least now, I have trees behind me. At least I look up and I see clear skies. At least I feel healthier. I feel healthier as a man breathing the air that I'm breathing right now. So I'm not going to let this awareness of the increase in drones and military exercises all around me stop me from enjoying the place that I'm at. But this is Alex Ansary signing off from Southern Colorado, just giving you an update on how I'm doing, some of this knowledge that I came across. And if you're in the Colorado area, feel free to say hi, drop a message down in the comment section. What do you think about Pinon County? Are there any ranchers watching this? Are there any allies in Colorado that love liberty and freedom and are taking these things that are taking place very seriously and are making the right preparations? Feel free to drop me a line. We'll talk to you later.